1, 2, 3.
There we go.
What's up, Coach?
How are you?
Not bad, man. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
All right, so let's break this one down here. All right, my music. Let's break down this game against Democracy Prep.
Yep.
They were a big team. They had some very outstanding performers, number 0, number 22. How did you prep for those going into this game that you won?
Honestly, I was a little surprised with how big they were seeing them live. It was one of those things when we were down on the field warming up, or in the back by the soccer field warming up, all of them were walking in, and from far away, they all looked like the same guy. I don't know how to describe it, but they were all the exact same kind of height and weight between the linemen and the receivers. They were big kids, and they were a lot bigger in person than we had given them credit for on film. And I was bothered by the game while it happened. However, looking back on it, we played much better than I thought, and we did not give them nearly enough credit for how good they are as a football team. Kind of throughout the week, we were kind of looking, we're like, yeah, but they were in this game, and really, they were a better team than we gave them credit for.
Yeah, and they beat themselves a lot.
Right.
They got a lot of penalties, and as a matter of fact, I started to feel like when I was on the sideline, I felt like, man, if I was a fan of theirs, or if I was on the other side, I would start to feel like the refs got it in for me.
No, 100%. And that's kind of how
flag after flag after
flag. Right, and that's where kind of we were against Mater, where we were kind of doing that. And it's natural, you kind of start feeling that everything's against you. But like looking back on it, there were quite a few real holds that also weren't called. You know what I mean? So
sure.
During that stretch where they were kind of moving backwards on, I think it was like 1st and goal on like the 1, and it ended up 3rd and 31.
Yeah, that was rough.
And it was rough for them, and that's one of those things where if they clean that up, they're a very formidable team come playoff time.
Right, yeah. Yeah, number 0, number 22, they did most of the work in the game. 22 was really hard to bring down.
Yeah, he's a good running back, and he's one of those we talked about early in the week, and then seeing it live, it really hit me. He reminded me of like Le'Veon Bell, like when he was in that like prime Pittsburgh Steelers form, where he'd get the ball, he was super patient, would let stuff develop, and then would just go. And he also is from 0 to 60 real fast, and he doesn't look fast when you're watching him, but then you're like, oh man, he's covering a lot of ground real quick.
Yeah. Big highlights of the game. I mean, everyone played well. I was impressed with Gage Hopkinson, as usual, scramble for a touchdown pass to Derek Render, a couple of touchdown passes to Chase Jappy. As a matter of fact, the beginning of this game was just going back and forth.
Right.
And it felt like whoever makes the fewest mistakes is going to pull this one out. It felt, at least for the first half.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
And that's kind of where we were at. We were struggling tackling on defense, and that's kind of been our biggest issue throughout the year. It's not a game plan thing.
Sure.
It's not like that. It's we're not making the tackles on our first kind of contact.
Right.
And, we've been, as soon as we got pads on, we've been doing, our clean camp every week and making sure it's just, I don't know what we're doing in the game and where we're kind of freezing. We didn't do that against Virgin. Virgin, we looked great. Everybody was hitting. We were making the plays we needed to make. And again, this week, I don't know if it was just with the size and like them getting out to some of our smaller guys that aren't big hitters. We were definitely missing some of those tackles on the outside, but it's a fun game when it kind of goes back and forth like that. I think that's something we're going to get into a little bit this week too, but I'm confident with our team. Talked about it, and I, being an offensive guy, I think we can score with anybody,
Yeah. Tell me about this. Another big highlight was this defensive touchdown.
Yeah.
We got a pressure from Mason Terrell, Cooley Campbell, the sack for his fumble picked up by Josh Kingma, who runs it in for a touchdown. Man, I felt really bad. Josh comes over to me after the play. He's like, "Did you get that?" I'm like, "Nope." Man, I felt horrible about that. All week I thought about it too.
And all week he was saying he was going to score. He was on it all week.
Oh, nice.
We had kind of put in a little bit of like a trick play that we were looking to run, and then the referees before the game were like, "No, you can't do that." And I was like, "All right, fair enough." But that was going to go to him. And, all week he kept saying he was going to score. And then he was talking a real big game about how his touchdown celebration was going to go. And I'm not going to lie, his touchdown celebration was a little lacking. Like he was he was way too excited and just jumped up and down a bunch.
Yeah, well, listen, I didn't get it, but I'm sure your mom got it, or Coach has it on film. You guys send it to me. I'm happy to post it. And just in general, while we're talking about this, if you guys have highlights that I don't catch, you want to send them to me on the Instagram page, I'll post it. I'll give you a shout out. No problem, man. You just. I'm all about promoting our team, man. It's a lot of fun.
I have noticed over the last couple of weeks more and more kids showing me stuff that they're following the BSN Instagram and stuff like that. So hey, Coach, did you see this? And I'm like, yeah, I follow it too.
It's heavy on Instagram. I'm heavy on Instagram. Facebook, not so much, like once a week. And then I'm scrolling through a bunch of stuff like, oh, man, I missed this, I missed that. But you know what? We're just having fun. Nobody's serious about anything. So, let's talk about defense. Coach Render lost his cool at some point. What were you guys concerned about on the defense? What was going on? Normal. I'm sure.
Coach Render. That is him at church, I'm pretty sure. That's just that's what you get with him. No, it's a frustrating situation with the defensive stuff where we're saying the same things over and over again. And it's not that we're not getting the effort, it's just we're really, really searching for that guy to just take over defensively. And I do think a little bit played into it where, Charlie Stewart has been kind of the man all over the place. Charlie had the flu last week. He was out of practice Monday, Tuesday, really didn't practice at all Wednesday, kind of participated and walked through Thursday, and I think we kind of downplayed that a little bit, and that he's an energy guy, he kind of gets things going, and it's just we're telling them what we need them to do, and it's just a matter of getting them to just really truly believe and just around there and do their thing.
Yeah, a lot of at times it seems like trust in your gut.
Right.
Like you see that handoff, you see the lane.
Right.
And you second guess maybe that's not happening. It really is happening.
We've had the conversation quite a few times where we've got kids that we do a lot of things where this is the way we're taught to do it, but then we're not being athletic and responding to something slightly different that we're seeing on the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I know I need to be in this gap. Okay, yeah, but the running back is running right here. You could still reach and grab him. You don't have to be right here. So I think that's kind of a little bit of the frustration where we're doing what we're asking them to do, but we also want them to play and just be athletes and be aggressive. And sometimes we're not doing that. And I don't know if it's a fear of getting in trouble or getting yelled at. And that's not really what we've preached with how we're going to respond to stuff, but it's just that little bit of be your own person,
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that I thought Democracy Prep did well was jamming up our defense. Yeah. It was hard to get off blocks. I was watching kids all night long trying to get off their blocks. They did that well.
Right.
They got a bunch of holding calls, but they were pushing that boundary every single snap.
No, and that's one of those things that it's a good team is able to do that. You know what I mean? They're not going to call every hold, and I'm not saying I want our guys out there holding every play.
Yep.
But you could get in there and get tight. Our blockers do a lot of hit and release and then go again. Those guys they'd get up in your grill and they were not moving.
Push it 15
they were going
yards,
wherever they wanted to go with you. Yeah.
It was impressive. All right, well, tell me, it was a good win. For a lot of reasons, it was a really great win. It was a home win, so it was exciting. Yeah.
And there's one thing too that I do want to mention because you kind of start hearing it a little bit after the game and stuff like that from some fans. We've got a game plan when we go into it, and we know kind of what we can do and what we can't do and things like that. And kind of at the end of the game, we were only up 2 scores. And when we're in that mode where it's 2 scores, we're still looking to put points on the board. I am not a guy, and I will let the fans know right now, I am not a guy that's just going to completely run the clock out and, just, all right, we'll see, we're up by 2. That's not enough. We want to keep going.
Right on.
And then especially at the end of the game, our mindset is, they're a team that can kind of bounce back in it. When we're moving the ball and we've got the ball in our hand and they're kind of coming down and scoring real quick, we're trying to get those first downs. That's why we're going for it on fourth down. It's a calculated risk that we understand, but we know that if we do get that first down in that situation, then we're going to eat more time off the clock and kind of go with that. And with us, throwing the ball late in the game like we did when we were up, and that was a whole big thing of, why is he throwing the ball? He's stubborn. Fourth down, I want the maker's hands, and that playmaker's been Gage Hopkinson all year. So if we've got the opportunity with Gage, I will do that all day long. And I think if you've watched the games, I think people understand that that's the guy we do want the ball in his hands, So it was very good. And they did a good job this week of, I knew it was coming. I didn't know it was going to come from them. Chessboard.
Yes.
They double teamed him. They were trying to get Brady, one-on-one. They've left him. They double team Brady. And I think he only had one catch, and I think we tried to throw to him 3 or 4 other times. And I told him at halftime, I go, listen, you do over here, 3 guys over here, and then we're just going to throw the other way. And now I think having done that this week, big game against Slam, they see now we can't just take away Brady because now those other guys will hurt us. You know what I mean? So that 1 week of them kind of doing that, that's going to help us kind of in the long run now.
Yeah, I really dig that. I mean, we see the game the same way in that regard because it's impressive to see the depth, right? So it's either Brady or it's Easton,
right,
or it's Chase, or it's Gabe Ritchie.
Yep.
I mean, someone, you have to account for a lot with your offense, to your credit.
And with a lot of that stuff, too, we had some big plays this week from Jappy especially and a couple from Render where they're not kind of the main receiver on that play. They're kind of doing stuff to get other guys open.
Yeah.
And Gage does a good job of going through his reads, still looking downfield while he's moving around and hitting, Jappy and, the Render touchdown. That was supposed to be a play backside to Brady, and they double coverage, and Gage kind of bumped out a little bit, and Derek saw that there was nobody in the middle field and just kind of drifted that way, and Gage found him for a touchdown.
Yeah.
It looked like a great play on film because he kind of slow played it, but the play was a one-man route to Brady that was going nowhere, and those two made something happen.
Yeah, that was an impressive play, which is why we're such a Gage Hopkinson fan. I mean, let's talk about that. He's no schlub either. He's got plenty of yards to under his belt too. Let's talk about Slam and what your game plan is or what you're thinking. It's a tough team. These are the defending runner-ups. This is the team that the South sent up. They lost to Truckee, I think.
Yeah.
But tell me what you're thinking. It's a tough team.
They're a big team. They're pretty quick. But I think we match up well. I think offensively, I think we can run our offense, and I think we'll find success in the stuff that we've been doing. I think our receivers match up really, really well with their corners. I think it's an advantage for Boulder City. And then, in terms of their interior line, I don't think they have anybody that we really, really can't handle. They've got a couple guys that are good, and we're going to try and run away from them.
Sure.
Simple, take them out of the game. And then, we can really do what we've been doing. I think we can run and pass. They're going to kind of mix it up. Depending on our formation, they give us a different front that we know we can run out of this and we can throw out of this. In terms of their offense is very straightforward. There is not a lot. When you watch the film, it looks like there's probably, and I'm sure there's different variations on stuff, but generally speaking, when you watch it, they've got about 4 plays, but there's different things that they do in each of those 4 plays, so
Sure.
it makes it 12 to 15 run plays. And, they've got a very good running back that runs hard. He's fast when he gets through the line, and our goal this week is to try and take away the run, and that's something that we haven't been great at in the season so far.
Right.
But we really want to jam up that line and make them beat us by throwing the ball.
I dig it, man. It's a good strategy. Listen, to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Is it a straightforward run? Do they hit the edges at all? Tell me about the running game.
It's very similar to what Democracy did, where they're kind of coming up the middle and that guy looks to bounce it outside, but if he finds a little crack, he's good to get through and go. We've really got to get our guys to stay home, stay and do their job and, kind of control their area, their gap, and wrap up and at least slow them down and get 10 other guys there to finish them off.
Sure. Does it take 10 to bring him down? Is he that type of runner?
Three? Yeah, it's a few.
He's a good runner.
Yeah.
I mean, the stats clearly show he's a good runner. And
they feed him the ball, and that's who really they're going to. And their quarterback's not bad, but I've been brought up, and the way the coaches I learned from, like my dad and my grandfather and stuff like that, my high school coach, it was always you want to take away the best thing that another team does.
Right.
Right now, their run game with this kid that's their bread and butter. That's who they're going to go to a bunch. We want to make it to where he's out of the game, because even if he's, we hold him to like 50, 60 yards, something like that, that would be phenomenal. That would be a great situation for us. It makes the other team uncomfortable because this is their go-to thing all the time. This is their safety net. This is their like warm fuzzy blanket to just hand him the ball.
Right.
And if we force them to do other stuff, and they throw the ball really well, but they don't throw the ball nearly as much as they run. You know what I mean? So if we can get them into the thing that is not as comfortable for them, better chances for us,
Yeah, they gave up 22 points to Virgin Valley, I think, is what I saw. So, and they're a passing team. Gunnar Cortez, I think that's his name.
Yeah,
he's a good quarterback. Considered one of the best in 3A for sure. So I would expect that's something that they have to defend against.
Yeah,
it's
and
their weakest link. They don't have very many weak links, but this one's the weakest.
Right, and they, their defense, they've given up some points. Their offense scores a lot of points, and I think we're a better offense than what they've seen. So I think we're going to be able to put on some points. It wouldn't be a surprise, and this is no slam on our defense or anything like that. Like, I think this week's game is going to be a shootout. I keep telling them if we can get 3 stops, I think we can win the game. And that's a weird thing to say where it's just 3 times we make them punt or we get a turnover. If we can do that 3 times, I think we can win.
Yeah. Tell me about Travis Hess. I saw that he was injured last week. He did a great job. Forced I think it was a sack, maybe a forced fumble. I don't know how they counted that one. But how's he feeling?
It was a sack. It was a sack? Intentional grounding, so it counts as a sack.
Nice.
So we'll give it to him.
How does he feeling? Did he practice this week?
He did not practice today. He's going through all of his rehab stuff and things like that. It's a hamstring. I don't really know how bad it is. Travis really wants to play this week and thinks he can. I haven't really talked to Katie that much, so we'll make a decision with him going forward. But the good thing is with our defensive line, we've got guys that can step up and fill that spot. Travis is a huge part of what our defense can do, but we've got guys that we can move around that we're not missing a ton. That's where, one of our strengths is what we've got with the defensive line. So,
and tell me about anyone else who's coming up. Are there any other kids that have been standing out in the practice field? Someone we should be looking up, in the future?
I think we're starting to get a lot of those younger guys, the juniors, are starting to understand the offense a little bit more. And I will admit, when it came time for the season, we really worked the ones a bunch, and we want our twos, those junior guys that aren't playing a ton, to get in with the scout team and really get your reps there. So we have had some guys that are stepping up, and we've had some guys that have taking a little step back, kind of shying away from doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
One of the things we did this week, we actually moved up one of the boys from the JV team, Aiden Armstrong. He's been playing great. Every game that I've seen, he's making tackles all over the plate, left and right. And, if you're going to do that down there, you're going to come up to varsity because we need help with the defense. So
we need guys doing that
and do your thing. So I think we're going to give him a start this week and see what he can do. And it's one of those things. The thing that's really important to me is Aiden is one of those kids that is a solid kid in class, a solid kid in the community, and he's doing it on the field. So that's why I want to, kind of give him this opportunity because he's doing all the right things.
Yeah, he's checking all the boxes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right on. Good on you, Aiden. Right on, Coach. So what else? What am I missing? Anything else coming up for this game I should know about?
No, I think it's going to be a fun one. Everybody should know this game starts a little bit earlier. I think as of right now, it's back a little bit because JV plays. So 6 o'clock is a
little
kind
early,
of unrealistic.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where I think it would just be running late, and it just doesn't give us a lot of time to warm up. So they're looking to push it back to an actual 7 o'clock start. It's at Basic. It's not anywhere else, which is which is nice because it's literally like an away game, but it's the closest opportunity we will ever have for an away game.
Sure.
So make sure you guys get out there and check it out.
Yeah, we'll be there. Let's talk about a couple other things. Senior night.
Yes.
So just by the way, Preston Reynolds can't join us tonight. He's out car shopping or something like that. He needs a new vehicle, so last minute bailing on us. Let's talk about senior nights that are coming up. The senior night for football is October 20th.
It's next Friday. I don't know what that date is. It is? Asa said it is. I trust him.
Senior night, football senior night. October 20th. October 20th.
Dawn's birthday.
That's your birthday?
Yeah, that didn't need to be talked about at all.
Oh, so it's senior citizen night too.
Yep.
All right, cool.
I'll be out there with my bad knees. So senior night's October 20th, and then we're talking about moving. Go ahead.
I'm gonna officially say this.
Let's do it.
All right. So because I know the boys are starting to watch, officially next Tuesday. All right. It'll be the coaches show before the senior night. All of the seniors need to be here, and all of the seniors will be on to talk to you for at least a couple minutes, get their perspective.
All right, man, I like it.
What's going on? So all of the senior boys need to be here. You guys that are watching, it's not optional.
So next Tuesday is senior week, and for the coaches show,
Yep.
we'll be here. That's not the one we're moving, right?
No,
next
that's
week
not
we're
the
good.
one. We're good.
So next Tuesday right here at Vinny's, and we'll have the seniors on, and I'll
Yep.
talk to each and every one of you, and we'll get your take on the game.
And then you guys will see like what we're dealing with when you actually ask these guys some questions and they've got to think. Like it's you should be very, very happy with the record we've got once you see these guys actually talk to the camera. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And then the following week, it sounds like we're going to move the coaches show to a Wednesday.
Yep.
So, but we'll talk about that next week too.
Yeah.
All right.
And the other thing too that I don't think people necessarily realize about this week, we are playing for an opportunity to take first place in the conference.
Sure.
You know, if we win, it would end up being a 3-way tie. And, you know, it puts us into a whole big tiebreaker thing between us and Moapa and Slam.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the way things work out, and as long as we win by a certain margin, which is only 13 points, honestly, if we can get to that point and we do all that, first place for the conference comes down to a coin toss. And that's not a bad situation to be in. It would be great if we could have won and kind of done it on our own, but we're playing for something. You know, this isn't just like another week. It's kind of playoff seed. It's, you know, kind of cementing who we are as a team and showing people that, you know, we can beat the good teams, we can play with the good teams, we can do all that. We're not just a team that goes out and, you know, stomps on the teams we should beat. You know, we've got some stuff to prove, and I think the kids can do it, you know?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know who's talking about your game planning or whatnot, but those other teams, they come to play too.
Right.
And they practice, and they've got kids that have been waiting to play. And Slam, you know, is the last year's runner-up. So these aren't no jokes, you know?
Right.
Moapa, that's our longtime rival. Everyone knows that.
And honestly,
I think we're playing good football.
And I think a lot of people tend to judge stuff on like, oh, well, we beat this team by this much last year. Every team's completely different every year. You know, that's one of the things that what I love about like the high school football situation. Like, yeah, you can look at, you know, what guys we got coming back and what we're going to look like. But with the, you know, the sophomores coming up to varsity, you really don't know what a team's going to be until you get there. And, you know, your Maters and your Democracies were both way better than they were last year. And people just kind of assume like, oh, well, they've been doormats. Not anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't want to be that, and they've got good coaches. They've got good kids that are going there.
Yep.
That, you know, it's getting to a point where, you know, the games are fairly even. You know, I think it's going to be fun when we get to the playoffs because, you know, the way it works where one plays 8 and everybody makes the playoffs, I think you're going to see quite a few upsets come playoff time because all these teams are playing better and getting confidence and, you know, realizing, you know, like your Maters and your Democracies who last year were losing games by 40 points, they're right there in these games. You know, they're 1 or 2 plays away that I think is going to be a fun playoff atmosphere this year. I'm super excited for it.
You're playing very exciting football, you know, and that is one of the qualities for Boulder City coaches. It's one thing I've learned through the podcast that I wasn't expecting to learn is that to be successful in high school sports, you have to assess what you have that year,
Right,
and put the best team on
Right.
the field, on the court, whatever it may be. And the coaches that do that are successful.
Right.
I've seen some coaches that don't do that, and they're not successful because they see something on paper or they want something.
Right.
Which is usually what happens.
Yeah.
I want this to work. Why isn't it working?
Right.
Couple of shifts. The people who can swallow that ego and just make some shifts and say maybe it's me.
And that's one of those things where you're like, if you're a system guy, you can do that at a bigger school where you know you're going to get 100 kids from each,
you're going to have your
level
pick.
that you're going to be like, oh, I can find this and we can do what we want to do. At a school like we're at, we're kind of looking through our program. We've got, and like even like the younger kids that I've seen, there's like different classes that have a different high. You know what I mean? Where it's like this group is really high in like linemen, and this group has really good receivers. This group has really good defensive players. So like each year it's going to be fun, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. Where we kind of the plan for this year worked well, and what we put out on the field next year is going to look completely different than what we have this year, just because of the personnel. And it's fun to kind of doing it as a coach. You're kind of always teaching and coaching because it's not just, oh yeah, we did this last year, we just kind of run over and do it again. Like I don't know that we're going to have 4 phenomenal receivers next year. I know we got Easton back, and other than that, we've got to figure it out once the season's over and come summer. So it's really exciting. I really like that.
That is the challenge behind high school sports. What gives it a different dynamic than every other sports group, including clubs.
Exactly.
So I think you're doing a great job, Coach.
Thank you.
It's fun. It's a fun time to be an Eagle. It's what I'm always telling people. This is a fun time. New things are happening, and Miss Wagner, the social media, man, she is at every single sporting event. I don't know how she does it. I go to places, and I'm working full time, but I make it to what I can make it, and she's there all the time. And if she's not, she has somebody she's sent in her behalf. But very rarely do I see her out there. And
I love like her being on the sidelines, and she kind of like bops up and down, and and she's finally understood that like I am definitely very serious during the games and stuff like that, but like I also understand it's a game. So like she'll come up to me and I'll stop and talk to her, and she's like, you don't have to talk to me, like pay attention to the game. I'm like, it's not that serious, we're okay, we're fine. So and I don't know if you guys checked her out with her pink makeup and like the glitter. I think that needs to be an everyday look for Miss Wagner. I told her that on Friday night in the middle of the game, that like that's the thing I think we go to on other than just pink nights. I think that's a whole thing for her.
I thought that was going to be the new norm.
I think we're pushing for it.
Right on, Coach. Well, thanks for your time, and I don't think I have any other announcements other than that. If you guys are at sporting events and you want to send me stuff, you can send it directly. You can message me via Instagram, or you can email me at admin@bcsportsnet.com. That's admin@bcsportsnet.com. Thanks for watching. This is fun, man. We're just out here having fun. It's a good time. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Have a
great
night.